So we have our 90, 50, 10 predictions for the 2023 entry draft. Do you guys ready? Do you guys have your 90s?
I do.
I do, yeah.
I think this is a fun way to play it around to see what happens in the draft. Dave, do you want to start out with your 90? Because I know yours. Let's open it with a bang. 'Cause I know
Sure.
your 90 is going to be.
Sure. All three of them are gonna be bombastic. For my 90, I think the Flames are gonna be the one to make a big trade.
That's your
Every team's
90?
gonna
That's my 10.
the Flames are gonna be if there's always gonna be one trade at the draft that everybody's like, wow. And I think the Flames are gonna either get rid of Toffoli or Hannafin at
I think they could do a package deal. I think that's what I would expect. I'd say that's like
maybe
huge.
both.
Is
I did
two
have
of the
both.
four. If they put two of the four in a deal, like
Yeah.
let's say if like God forbid someone gets Lindholm and Hannafin in the same deal,
Oh man,
Jesus Christ, right? Like
I
that's what it. Yeah. I like that, Dave. I like that.
Hopefully it's not you guys because that's all I've been hearing about you guys the past little bit.
Oh, dude,
But
It's more Leafs
to
talk than it's
Hannafin,
Flames.
Hannafin to
but-
Leafs. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been insane.
And can we just like move Toronto to the US just for Hannafin? Like I'll do it. We can do it. We can join the US just to get Hannafin, man.
I mean, we're pretty close. We're like on the border, basically.
Yo, you listen, Jake McCabe had 6 of 7 Canadian teams on his no trade list. You know which one wasn't? Ask Jake
Toronto.
McCabe. Hannafin, go talk to Jake McCabe.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
all right,
There's a reason
Chris,
we're called the Hollywood North for
no one calls you that. Okay.
NBA players love it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Anyway.
call him Hannafin. Just call him.
Christian, what is your 90?
Okay, my 90 is that a goalie will be drafted in the first round, specifically Michael Rabal. Have you guys heard of Michael Rabal?
It's a
I'm
Swiss
not.
Czechia goalie.
Czech guy. Yeah.
Cheka.
He's a Czech guy. I'll tell you some of his stats here. He played this year in the USHL for the Omaha Lancers. In 31 games, he had a 908 save percentage, 286 goals against average. Nothing crazy.
Playoffs.
He did play in the U18s for Czechia. In his U18 career, 13 games played, 927 save percentage. Pretty good. Pretty good numbers for Michael Rabal. He's got a commitment in the NCAA next year. He's going to be playing with the University of Massachusetts. But the only number that really matters here is his height. Michael Rabal is 6'7". Michael Rabal will be drafted in the first round. Congrats.
Wait,
Yeah, that's it.
he's getting drafted to the NHL or the NBA?
Hey man, listen. What's Grady Dick? I think Grady Dick is like 6'7".
Yeah, I think he's 6'7".
We can have him. That's the new backcourt. Okay.
Michael Rabal is
Point guard Michael Rabal
is either an NHL prospect or an NBA point guard.
Yeah,
There's no in between.
That's funny, man. So
Okay.
listen, he could be the next Ben Bishop. If I had to pick a team that I think is going to snag him, and I've seen this on mock drafts too, so I'm not like pretending to be some kind of genius here. But San Jose makes so much sense. Those guys don't have a goalie prospect. And he's projected like 20 to 30 in terms of where he could be picked. I believe San Jose is not number 26. They do have 2 firsts. But my next prediction in the 50s will coincide with my 90s. So we'll get back to this. But Michael Rabal, first round, that's my 90.
My 90 also does coincide with my 50. And my 90 is no matter where Montreal drafts, they will select from the US program. So
Okay.
Montreal's had a lot of success with the US program. Cole Caulfield, Lane Hudson come to mind right off the bat. There's been a lot of rumors that they're kind of interested in Ryan Leonard. I kind of like that fit, but they picked 5. And who's 5? Who's projected typically to go 5? Will Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I think this coincides with my 90 is that apparently Montreal really like Ryan Leonard. Ryan Leonard is supposed to go 8 through 10. And this coincides with my 90 because I think that the Washington Capitals have a 50% chance of moving up in the draft.
Oh,
Dude, I got that at like 0.
Right. I think we have the same not kind of like on the same terms for the 50 because my 50 is that one of the top 10 picks gets traded. So
does that include like outright traded or traded in terms of could be moved up? Just has to be a trade.
Could be moved up. Yeah.
Okay.
A trade.
There's some type of movement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So my reasoning for this is because if Montreal want Ryan Leonard, they can still get him at 8. But Washington, we want Mishkov.
Come Mitch
The whole
Koff.
fan base is raving about it. I know for a fact that Ovechkin has a really important Russian guy on speed dial that could probably get the contract broken a little bit earlier than we need to, a year or two early. We've seen it with Ivan Miroshnichenko already. Okay, maybe I'm just manifesting, but
No,
I wanted,
Brian,
I wanted Bedard. Can't get that. I think that
I
Mishkov would be a nice consolation prize.
so Brian, I want to say one thing to you. So when we sat here and you were trying to manifest Bedard to happen, I was sitting here like it'd be hilarious. It would be so hilarious if it actually did happen. Because I was like, you guys are just outside of that range, like where it could happen, but you guys got to move up. You guys had to move up like what, 8 spots?
Yeah,
7 spots to get him. It's like you guys are just short. I think if you guys maybe finish like 5 or 4, there'd be a good chance. But the whole Mitchkov thing just tailor made for you guys, and you guys are picking 8 as well, dude. The headlines are already being written, but I don't. You know what? If you guys do pick them, it probably wouldn't be at 8. So then that kind of whatever. But I could still hope. But 100%, Bri, I'm completely on board. You guys are gonna go out of your way to get Mitchkov, dude. I think that pick won't be picked by the Caps. Who did you say? So who are we thinking? It's gonna be 5. So the Habs would
I think
move
we'll
down?
go up to 5, Montreal. But there's also been rumors that Montreal are in love with Zach Benson and David Reinbacher.
I've seen Zach Benson going as low as like 17 though.
I've listened to a Capitals podcast recently. The scout that they had on, in love with Zach Benson. Apparently, he's the best two-way guy in this draft, and apparently he's also the engine.
Better than Dvorsky?
From what I've
Dvorsky
from what I've heard from this
name.
scout, from what I've heard from this scout in the WHL, Zach Benson, fantastic pick. Doesn't sound the same as Mishkov though. I like the sound of Mishkov a lot more.
I'm going to give you some teams that could throw a wrench into this. But I do want to say Mitchkov in Washington is not only a great fit for the Caps, it's a great fit for Mitchkov. Like it really does make a lot more sense for him in Washington than some of these other teams, just in terms of how early it could come to the NHL, getting acclimated to the league. It makes a lot of sense in Washington. A lot. But teams that I could see throwing a wrench into
San
this
Jose
are basically teams that have a long ass rebuild. San Jose is one of them at number 4. Philadelphia is another one. But I'll give you a team that isn't in the top 10 that I think could enter the top 10 because they have 2 picks in the first round I believe in the teens. I'm gonna double check here. They have this pick, and what other pick do they have? So the team I'm thinking of is Nashville. I think Nashville, we already had a rumor that they're going to be trying to enter the top 10. They have 15 and 24. So it's actually not as enticing as I thought. But I think this is a team that we know is going to go balls to the walls because Barry Trotz has said it in his interviews. I love it, man. The guy said, I'm going to let my scouts take wherever they want. Go high risk. I'll get the plugs. He basically had a line where he said that. And
that's the way to do it
trades. He's ballsy, and I'm loving it. And I think Barry Trotz is a guy who I could totally see try and get into the top 10 to draft Mitchkov because they have a bit of a Russian connection already. They have Askarov. So they're not afraid, I don't think, as an organization.
Askarov? Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Yes. But if I have to present my alternate, that's what it is. That's my dark horse Mitchkov team to enter the top 10. This wasn't part of my 90-50-10, but yeah. So you guys said your 50s, right?
Yes. Yeah. Want to hit us with your 50?
Okay. So my 50 is that the Maple Leafs will be trading their first round pick at 28. However, general, trading the pick, them trading the pick is 100%. We got to split the 100% into 2 50-50s here. The 50-50 is if it involves Matt Murray or not. So that's where I went with this.
Bye, Seth Jarvis.
That hurts.
Quentin Musty, new Seth Jarvis. Oh God, yeah, please help. But listen. Just as I was talking about with San Jose and Michael Rabal at 26, Hey, San Jose, would you like another pick? I can give you another pick to take on Matt Murray. They're the team that makes the most sense to me to take on Matt Murray, maybe outside of Chicago, but I really don't see them doing this 2 times in a row. It seems kind of weird. It just seems
I'm convinced Chicago wants to compete as early as next year. I don't think that they're willing to take
okay. So if that's the case, I don't think they want the
injury
Murdoch.
prone.
San Jose is not competing. They would love the Murdoch. Okay. Come get the Murdoch. We will give you a first. You can give us a third. We'll move back 50 picks. We'll do that. That's 50% chance that Murray's involved with this first round pick deal. My other 50 is that they, as we've seen in rumors, just try and get immediate help with this pick. And I think it just makes total sense of what we've been hearing once again, rumor wise. Scott Lawton. I've been banging this drum for a while. And a new guy has entered the picture in Travis Sanheim, who people are trying to say, yeah, he's been connected to the Leafs too. I think it's very likely that Tree Living gets a defenseman over the offseason. Sanheim might be his guy. I don't know if I'm totally sold on it, but I think it's in the realm of possibility that there's something involving Lawton and Sanheim if that St. Louis deal isn't as big as we thought. It's probably more than just the first, but I think it's the starting point.
I could get behind that, honestly.
Yeah. So I think there's something there.
I'll be honest with you guys. If that's the trade, if that's what happens, I absolutely love Sanheim on Toronto. I think Sanheim's already a good player. Actually, I'll even say
great. He had a terrible year. He had a bad year, but when he's healthy, he's good.
But Philly, come on, right? And
exactly.
And I think that like Sanheim would be a piece to flourish under you guys, right?
It's a huge risk. Like
it is
6.25 by 8. His extension kicks in this year. But he's 27. You're paying him until he's 35.
But if that's the risk you take to get Lawton on for your prime years, I mean, you guys are in win now mode.
That's part of this. You got to think it's buy low on Sanheim, right? That's part of it.
If you guys have to take an L, like a potential L for a guaranteed, actually, you know what? I'll even say a surefire guaranteed 3CW. I think you do it. Lawton apparently is fantastic. Apparently he's the right fit for you guys, and apparently that's the rumor. Okay, so Christian's 10% prediction was that the Leafs first round pick would be moved.
That's my 50.
That's 50.
Sorry, yeah. Christian's 50% was that the Leafs first round pick would be moved. We don't know if it was split into 2. We don't know if it was for Lawton.
It might involve Matt Murray or might not.
Or it might be a cap dump for Matt Murray. So my 10 is pretty similar. My 10 is that the Flyers will move one of either or Travis Sanheim, Travis Konechny, Sanheim, or Lawton, or Hart before the 32nd pick, along with the Flames moving one of Toffoli, Backlund, Hannafin, or Lindholm by pick 32. So both of them.
These are both day one deals
together.
Yes.
Are they?
No, they're not together.
Okay.
So this is you're doing a parlay here, Brian. You get 2 bets in one here, eh?
Parlayed your 10% pick. Oh man.
So before
it's a tough one.
What's the
what are the odds on
Brian?
it? Yeah, what are the odds on this
apparently 10%, but one
plus 10,000.
The Flyers will move one of their guys, and Calgary will move one of their guys by pick 32.
Okay.
Brian, why would you do this? You've handicapped yourself here. So you're basically saying both have to happen. If one happens, you don't get the credit.
You're not getting early payout here, Brian.
Yeah, no
early payout. But I'm pretty confident that Danny Briere, the man with the hot hand, the guy that wants to slam the button, will make something happen. I also think that Conroy over in Calgary wants to do something quickly. And apparently, if these guys are already wanting out, he does not want to live through Kachuk Gaudreau 2.0. He's already said that. Make it happen. And make my parlay
you also handicap yourself by saying buy pick 32. What if it happens like 2 hours after? No, actually, no, that counts. 2 hours after counts because it has to be start of the draft, end of the draft. That was the rules that we did here. Okay.
Why do I say before pick 32 in the sense that
got to use the first?
Exactly. He's going to try to aim for a first round pick just because of the fact that it's a strong draft.
Fair enough.
I don't think we'll see a type of trade like that after the first day. I'll be honest with you. Like,
no, it's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is the first factor. It's the first rounder factor. Yeah, it's a good one, Brian.
That's a tough one. But
I don't know who's it going to be between Sanheim, Konechny, Lawton, Hart. I don't know who's it going to be between Backlund, Foley, Hannafin, Lindholm. What I will say is that I want to see a blockbuster. And I'd
say they trade with each other, but that's not going to happen.
No.
Did all of us have something to do with like a trade between one of those two teams. So if
Well, I've got the 50-50, and I assume Flyers for the Leafs. So
okay, so
yeah.
so that means that because my 90 was that what was it? It
Flames.
was that the Flames were gonna make a move. So if that
Yeah.
hits on both of like we're playing bingo here, us three. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
one knocks off two people's
We should have contacted a sports book because like when you do betting, you can you can do you can email them and say, what are your odds for this custom idea I have? And sometimes they'll answer you and they'll be like, you want to make this bet? Sure, here's our odds. We should have done that, boys.
We should have done with that one company. It's like you could bet anything.
But is it Betano? I think. Now we're naming
Betano?
names. No, I think so.
Yeah,
So
I
don't know.
No free marketing.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
So could you imagine if like my 90, my 50, and my 2-part 10 all hit? Like what would you think the payout would be? I think it's gotta be at least plus 1,500.
Oh my god. Oh, I think more
Yeah.
than that.
If you're
Like,
parlaying all three, man, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
your 10% would have been more than 1,500.
Yeah, I
Plus
think
your
your
50 and your 90,
been, yeah,
done, man.
You're
your
tired.
10% would have been like 1,500 at least.
I honestly should see if the Michael Rabal one is a real thing, because they'll have like mock draft prop bets where it's like over under for position. So I wonder what Michael Rabal's
It
over
would
under
probably
for
be.
position is.
Would it probably
It's
be
probably
like
26 or something like
first
that.
goalie? Yours was.
Oh, that's a
he's
good
the first.
A goalie is drafted in the first round, and I've
Okay.
named my guy. It's gonna be a Rabal.
Okay,
Mr. 6'7".
I think you probably
Rabal.
could because that would be first goalie taken then, and you put Michael Rabal.
Maybe, yeah. I gotta
Yeah.
investigate after. I'll investigate. Okay. Dave, did you say you're 10?
No, I didn't. So my 10
Okay.
is I'm gonna go. We're gonna go big here. The Russian machine, Matvey Michkov, will be taken second overall.
Ooh,
No.
I like how we
My
had all this
reasoning-
Michkov talk.
My reasoning for this is the Ducks kind of have, they're starting to see a little bit of like down the middle. They've got a couple guys there that could fill in, for the next couple of years. Do you want another center? For sure, 100%. Or do you want the guy with potential, like his ceiling? We don't really realistically know what Matvey Michkov's ceiling is. I think Brian,
Some
you
people
alluded to
say
it before.
it's like Bedard. Some people say he's better at some things than Bedard.
By all metrics, a couple years ago, he was the consensus first overall pick before.
He was outperforming Bedard in some of like the younger tournaments, like the Ivan Halinka and the under 18, under 17s. He was doing like
recently
great record stuff.
He just played in a men's league. The last, top prospect to do one of that was wink, wink, Austin Matthews, right? Austin Matthews was playing in the Swiss league his draft year. Another thing to add on to this is, like, listen, I know there's been reports on his character and that type of stuff, but you think the type of situation that's like over the past week, look at what's been going on in Russia, right? Let alone extrapolate that over the past 2 years while this guy's been, talked about
Even
as
just his personal struggles. Right? Like
and that was my next point there. The personal struggles. I think I don't know. I just, for some reason, I could just see the big shock coming out. I feel bad for Fantilli because now he's been the one who's like, consensus second overall pick. It's going to be Adam Fantilli. I feel bad for the guy. Canadian kid seems like a nice guy as well.
I think
it's crazy because if you took away all the context surrounding these players, and if you just said rank them by who's the best or it's just purely just the player itself, you probably put in Michkov too. So it would be a shock, and yet at the same time, we would look back and say, of course they took him second.
Context is going to be key 10 years from now, right? Like, look at all the external factors. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe he has the talent and he just can't translate it, right? Maybe in the long run, it's actually a bad decision to take. I don't know if Neil Yakupov had this much talent, though. You know,
he definitely had the character issues.
Definitely had the character issues, 100%. Maybe in the long run, it's a bad look, but I think it's a risk for Anaheim, who's probably about 3 years away from being anything. And
So
that's lining up with the
I-
timeline for
I
Mitchkov.
personally think that Anaheim is maybe farther along than we give them credit for because they have their cornerstones in place. They're still going to add one, so that is true. But I look at some other teams, like I mentioned, like San Jose and Philly, who are their cornerstones.
Mm.
They don't exist. Like I think San
Alex
Jose has
Barabanov.
San Jose in terms of young guys, like the next wave. They have William Eklund. Does everyone know
Is
William
Ryan Merkley
Eklund?
still there?
No, he got
Oh
he got
man,
rocket shipped off.
dude,
I
Ryan
forget where.
Merkley
I
was
think Colorado.
the next big thing as well.
Character issues, Mr. Character
issues. Yeah.
Philly, like their cornerstones are Tyson Forster and Cutter Gauthier, who haven't played games from yet. Like they're not even in the show. Anaheim's we can see though. We know them. They play games. They're Zegras. They're McTavish. They're Drysdale. There's Zellweger on the way. Like they have these guys, and I feel like for them it might be a bigger risk than other teams. Once again, for the Capitals, like the character issue thing. That's why I think the cap exactly like you went through with Ovechkin. Character issue is the wrong word to use with Ovechkin, but
maturity is
maturity and a lot of the time he was questioned for stuff that what he didn't really need to be questioned for the lack of commitment to win the Stanley Cup.
Like, it's not commitment issues. There's a term for this. They're Russian. Like let's not paint around the fact that we still have these biases against guys like that, right? Like Mitchkov has all the talent in the world. The main reason why he's not being looked at as a top 3 bona fide lock is his so-called commitment issues and
his nationality. Yeah,
it's because his nationality. It's a lot tougher just because you basically have to pry him. If you want somebody like that right away, you have to move hell and earth basically to get him to come over.
It'll be very interesting to see if other Russian prospects also get devalued or don't go as high as we think. I think Daniel Boo is that other guy.
Yeah,
maybe I'm pronouncing it French. Maybe it's straight up Daniel Butt because it's Russian. I don't know.
Maybe,
but anyways, Daniel Butt. He's a Russian guy, so I'll be curious to see how high or low he goes, and if it's a full across the board Russian thing, or if it's just a Mitchkov factor. That'll be interesting to see.
Dave, I like the flavor. I like the take. I don't think it's gonna happen just because of the fact that, like Christian said, Anaheim's more along the rebuild, and Fantilli's floor is at number 2C, and the
rumor is that Pat Verbeek is the type of guy to do that though, because he came up under Yzerman in Tampa. So
they did the Mo Seider stuff, you know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, actually in Detroit, not Tampa. Yeah, they did the Mo Seider stuff. The rumor is that he could have the balls to do it. I'm personally gonna bet against it too, but I think it would be great theater.
But the reason you would take a high, like if you have that high of a pick, what you would do is like you would go for the higher risk. I understand that, but they have their high risk guys, like you said. Like they have their guys already, their cornerstones. Just take the 2C, the guaranteed 2C. Canadian guy, I'm pretty sure McTavish and Fantilli are probably going to be good friends, you know.
You put one of the 3Cs on the wing and you have a great time. Yeah, right? Because all 3 of them play center. You move one of them to wing, whoever it is.
Fantilli, McTavish look fantastic as a 1-2. Zegras can fill in there if he has to. No matter what, just take the safe route in this situation. Yes, you can't go wrong.
Take the safe route.
Another thing I just want to point out, it's like they lost Getzlaf last year. Fantilli's comparable is Ryan Getzlaf. It just works for me. I see it in my mind. But I like the flavor. I respect it. But doesn't
Ducks just change the jerseys, man, and I'll cheer for you.
Oh man!
Okay?
But Dave,
change your goddamn jerseys.
Dave, one last thing I just wanted to say. Doesn't matter what that prediction was. It's because Mishkov would be a Capital.
Yeah, well, that's why he was. It was my 10 and not my 90, bro. Because my 90 is the Mishkov's going to Washington. That's my 100 pick.
All right, Christian, what's your 10? Let's finish.
I feel like my 10 is a little bit more tame. So my 10 is that there's no D selected in the top 10. David Reinbacher, the top ranked defenseman, does not go top 10. It's just a fully forward top 10. I think it's honestly very possible. And when you look at some of the mock drafts, specifically, this is from an Athletic article that came out 3 days ago. This is just a consolidation of a bunch of rankings. So they took a lot of the popular mock drafts, put them all together, and came up with a consensus top 10. That consensus top 10 includes no defensemen. It goes Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson, Michkov, Smith, Dvorsky, Leonard, Matthew Wood, Benson, Perreault. So that is a consensus top 10 when you take a bunch of rankings and put them together. Reinbacher is pretty unanimously considered the top defenseman. There's other guys like Sandin Pellikka, Simashev, Willander, Oliver Bonk, 10 out of 10 name. But I'm going to go ahead and say no defenseman in the top 10. A little bit more tame on my prediction, but I think and so the argument against it is how many times do we see teams say, you know what, we really need a defenseman. Let's go grab a defenseman. I know the general wisdom is best player available, BPA, but we've seen many teams stray from that before. The Moritz Seider thing was a big one, right? That was one where it was a huge reach, but man, it looks good.
Pretty good.
It looks good in hindsight.
Looks really good.
It didn't, that much of a reach was like, are we sure? I think
it was huge. Yeah.
I think if that was any other, if Chuck Fletcher made that draft pick, everybody looks at Chuck Fletcher like, what the fuck are you doing, Chuck? Right? But it's Yzerman, right? Like,
yeah.
If
I can't argue with it.
If Yzerman is making a pick or if Detroit's making a pick for a left shot European defenseman, I don't think anybody's gonna complain. If it's Philadelphia, yeah, it's a little bit different.
You might be a little bit concerned, right?
But
like,
watch the Caps be the one to take Reinbacher now, destroy my 10% and destroy Brian's dreams.
You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be. You know who's taking Reinbacher? The 10. Who's at 10?
St. Louis.
St. Louis is at 10. Eh? Wow. Okay.
I could maybe not then.
I could see it, man. I don't think it's possible. All their gear are old and
busting your bracket. It's 9 or 10.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you, like, I think that Philadelphia would be the one to go Reinbacher.
You're right. They definitely need a defenseman. You're totally right. They need a defenseman.
Because Cutter Gauthier is a pretty starting piece for a forward, and if this is the consensus best defenseman, and you get him at 7, that's pretty good value, I'd say.
Oh, it's good.
I think Reinbacher is 6'3", and he's heavy and he's big.
The comparable at his peak is Victor Hedman. That's what they say.
Victor Hedman at 7 is pretty good.
You get a quarter of Victor Hedman. That's still
They don't think he's as a guarantee. It's not a guarantee he hits his ceiling. They say that he's got great frame, the great decent skating, but his offense isn't there yet. But if he can work on the offense, then he's the full package. That's the scouting report on this guy. But I'll say screw David Reinbacher in the scouting report. You're not getting picked until 11 at least. 11. Okay.